So welcome to this meditation where we're trying to promote active listening, which is a method of communication that involves fully focusing on, understanding and responding to a speaker. And we're going to begin by taking in 5 deep breaths with our eyes closed. And these aren't just deep breaths to get more oxygen in the blood, but it's deep breaths where we bring in our attention and our concentration and we're following the flow of the breath. So notice where you feel the sensation of your breath more than the rest, whether that's in your throat or your nose. And with each breath, follow it diligently. Do 3 more breaths. Okay, and as you bring your breathing to its normal pattern, remember that listening actively, it shows that you're engaged and interested. Try and maintain eye contact. Provide non-verbal cues. Show you're engaged. And if you feel the urge to interrupt and say something while that person is speaking, notice those distractions. And we use this technique of breathing to bring our attention and our focus back to what's important, back to being present to what they're saying. Continuing to focus on the anchor. In these meditations, regardless of the topic, we always want to bring our attention back to the awareness of the breath, back to our anchor. And active listening is a vital skill in the workplace and in certain situations. Losing your temper, on the other hand, is usually unproductive and it's harmful to workplace relationships. But it can be very tempting in stressful situations. So here are a few examples of where active listening is crucial and where you might be tempted to lose your temper and will be perfect to drop back into mindfulness. So remind yourself where your anchor is. Where do you notice it the most? And when I instruct you to, you're going to return to this anchor and only the anchor. This is a concentration exercise. Sometimes during team meetings, active listening helps ensure that everyone's ideas are heard and understood. And this provides collaboration and innovation. And disagreements in these meetings can lead to frustration. Now I'm going to take that thought and we're going to go back to our anchor. We've just now relived that moment in the office and now we're going to be present in our breath. Where do you notice it on the inhale? And where do you notice it on the exhale? Now, when receiving feedback, active listening can help you fully understand and effectively use constructive criticism. Don't be offended by it. Yes, it can be difficult to stay calm when someone's giving you feedback and if it's negative or it feels personal. And in that moment, we're just going to take a breath and go back to our anchor. Don't interrupt that person. Hear them out, no matter how tempting it is. And we can deal with that temptation by strengthening our ability to focus on the present, focus on our breathing. During conflict resolution, active listening is key to understanding the different perspectives and finding a solution. You want everyone to feel comfortable to give their ideas. Give them the space for that. Okay, now we're going to drop that. I want to go back to our breathing. Notice that we have a thought and we're training ourselves that we're going to interrupt that thought and we're going to come back to our breath. I know this is not easy, but with practice, we get better at awareness of thought and B, the ability to interrupt that thought and come back to an anchor. Now imagine a one-on-one conversation with someone at work. If you listen actively, you can build really strong relationships. But miscommunications or disagreements, they can strain these relationships. Listening actively is a great way to avoid this strain. Take a deep breath now. Where do you notice that? From switching to the sensation of your breath, you switch from thinking to being present. Let's take performance reviews. Active listening helps you understand your areas of strength and areas for improvement, and those of your team. However, when you don't get a great review, it can be tough. And if people are saying that your management style or your work performance isn't up to par, that can provoke a negative reaction. That's fine. Don't let that affect your mood. Don't let that affect your ability to stay equanimous. Take a breath. We should be developing the skill to, I notice the thought, but now I'm dropping it and I'm being present in my breathing. When you're giving instructions, active listening ensures that these instructions are understood and correctly followed. Because misunderstandings or mistakes, they can be frustrating. So we cut that thought and we be here in the breath. And if you're just in thought now and you're not back in the breath, that's fine. With kindness, redirect your attention back to breathing. With your client interactions, listening actively, you really get to understand what are they saying, what are their needs, and it builds a stronger relationship. But challenging your clients or their difficult requests, that can easily test your patience. So with that, we're going to invite ourselves to take a deep breath. Removing ourselves completely from that last thought and back into the present moment. Let's end by taking another 5 deep breaths. Okay, so for this last section, give yourself 100% concentration, no matter how urgent the email is later that you have to write, or the to-do list that you must accomplish. Right now, we're taking in 5 deep breaths, and we're only going to focus on this. So through the nose. Let's do 3 more. Really staying with the anchor. And as you approach your day, in any interaction, listen actively. Give that person the space to express themselves, to feel like they can talk to you about anything. Let them feel comfortable in that. And you'll get so many rewards from listening actively.